Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Aniano, and joining me as we get ready for week 5 of your fantasy football season, of the NFL season, a guy who sipping his water as we speak, just finished his ham sandwich for lunch, my friend, colleague, and co-host, Mr. Bobby Wow. Bob, that was a good piece of ham, nice piece of deli ham, maybe a little spicy mustard with that. How you doing today, my friend?
All right, you forced me. You forced my hand, haven't you? All right,
Well,
so
I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, right. So right, what he is referring to, he nor I am obsessed with ham. However, I
Oh, I
thought,
love ham, cheese, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise on rye toast. Number one sandwich of all time. But I digress. Go ahead, you filthy beast. Tell everybody what happened.
well, I thought we were in the circle of trust, but apparently
I just said
we're
you were
not.
eating ham.
Right. So last night I was eating a piece of ham lunch meat and I started choking. And luckily I was able to clear my airway, but when I did, I started coughing and somehow got ham lunch meat lodged up into my sinuses.
Filthy,
I blew my nose, and yes, ham did come out.
filthy.
And my sinuses have been a little sore since then. So,
Disgusting.
yes, it is. And I'm glad you brought it up. Everyone is probably so
I
pumped
just said
about
you enjoy
this.
a ham sandwich. What you
Uh-huh.
could have let it lie right there. You could
Mhm.
let it lie. Did your wife make you sleep on the couch last night as you were oozing ham out of your orifices or
No,
no?
she was too busy laughing at me.
I love her. I've never met her. I love her.
Yeah,
And you can tell her
uh,
it's strictly platonic, but man, do I love her.
it's all good. It's all good. I'm pretty sure I still do too.
All right, let's get into it. I mean, I love this show simply for the first couple of minutes because it's like Tales of Bobby Wall. Like it's like what has happened in the last 7 days? Because there's always something, and it
Always.
is fantastic. All right, week 5, Bob. There's a lot of news we got to hit on. First off, it's week 1 of the buys. Your Atlanta Falcons, your Chicago Bears, your Green Bay Packers, your Pittsburgh Steelers, all taking the week off. Big hit at the running back position, right? No Bijan, Swift, Josh Jacobs, Jalen Warren slash Kenneth Gainwell, whoever you prefer there. You're missing out on Caleb Williams, who's played well of late. Jordan Love, wide receiver room, the Bears wide receivers, Roman Dunze, Romeo Dobbs from Green Bay, right? The list goes on and on. It's a big hit. And then the injuries just come rolling in, right? We're recording this Thursday, by the way. It's about 7:45 Eastern. So Thursday night football about to start. The 49ers, as you're well aware, you probably watched the game after, before you watch this video. 49ers are playing the B team today, right? No Purdy, Pearsall, Juwan Jennings were all on your bench. Lamar Jackson's not playing. J.J. McCarthy is still out. Bucky Irving, we'll find out Friday what his status. Doesn't look good. He's in a boot. He's questionable. Trey Benson, free agent ad of the week, on IR, arthroscopic knee surgery. Chuba Hubbard is questionable. Braylon Allen, the 1B to Brees Hall, he's on IR. Wide receivers, Cedric Tillman, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, out. At least we got Jaden Daniels back. And we have Dylan Gabriel, for whatever that's worth, playing Sunday morning for the Cleveland Browns. He's starting at quarterback. Keep in mind, there's a 9:30 Sunday game again, Minnesota-Cleveland. Full slate of games. Sunday night, New England-Buffalo. That's fun. Monday night, Kansas City-Jacksonville. So, Bob, when you look at this, right, like, let's be very real. There are going to be players in lineups this week who were just plucked off the waiver wire 2 days ago. When you look at what's happening, I'm counting on Bucky Irving is out, right? So you got Rashad White. Michael Carter is the starting running back for the Arizona Cardinals. DeMarco is there. I mean, Rico Dowdell may become a thing for Carolina, although they think he'll play. It's a disaster. It is a disaster on numerous fronts across fantasy leagues, isn't it?
Yes, I hate it, but I also love it.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's
However,
the, it's like getting ham shoved up your nose. It's it's
okay.
it's good chaos. It's fun chaos.
Nothing good about ham in an orifice, Anthony. Nothing. Anyway, it definitely separates the boys from the men. And it took 4 weeks, and it is like injury Mageddon here. And you left out your boy Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
You left him
Yeah.
out. I
I'm not
know
even
it's
talking about the season enders. I was just talking about the guys who are out this week. But yeah.
you trauma blocked it. I understand.
Oh,
But now, one thing we do have going for us is there are a couple guys that I'm sure we'll talk about who have been in this situation before and have performed. So, Rashad White was the RB1 and I believe RB7 on the season 2 years ago before Bucky got there for your fantasy purposes. And so, Rashad White's done it before. Sean Tucker's filled in before and performed, here and there, rarely because he doesn't really get that chance, but he's done okay when he has. Michael Carter's did it just last year. Rico Dowdle obviously was a starting running back last year. I thought he'd get a little more look in the
mhm.
offseason as a free agent. He didn't. Goes to Carolina to be a backup. And so I don't think we're in the worst of spots, but it's certainly not, where you want to be given that it's only going into week 5.
So let's talk about a couple of things here first. Let's talk about the Sunday morning game. And I know you hate Sunday morning games. Um, Minnesota, they stayed there. They played last week in Ireland. This week, I think they're in England this week.
London.
Um, London, Minnesota, Cleveland. Both defenses pretty good, actually. Now, when you look at Cleveland, Cedric Tillman is out. Dylan Gabriel is under center. Now, one of the players I talked about waiver wire wise was Isaiah Bond. Uh, would have been he was undrafted because of off the field issues, and then ended up getting a contract uh, equal to like a second day draft pick, a second, third rounder. But with Dylan Gabriel under center and that Viking defense playing pretty good, 151 and a half passing yards per game, only 3 passing touchdowns. Like, is there any trust anywhere in Cleveland? Does Dylan Gabriel, in your mind, give them any hope in the passing game? What's your thought process on that, on the benching of Flacco and the move to Gabriel?
Well, look, as much as we wanted Joe Flacco to be great for the offense, he just wasn't. He was terrible. So I don't see how Dylan Gabriel can be any worse than Flacco was. They lost Tillman, so Judy's still there, like you said, Isaiah Bond. I'm not trusting anyone, definitely this week, except for Quinshon Judkins. Outside of that, I am going to steer clear of this entire offense. But I will tell you, to your point on Isaiah Bond, when I broke this draft class down, he was my wide receiver 3 of this
Yeah.
class. Abuka was my 1, Tedero McMillan was my 2, and then Isaiah Bond was my 3. And he's just a little smaller guy, 5'11", 180-ish. Good route runner. He's got some good wiggle after the catch, and he can hammer that gas pedal if he needs to. But I don't mind taking a flyer on, throwing him on the end of my bench, but I'm certainly not putting him in my lineup this week.
Yeah, just keep in mind with Jenkins, Minnesota Vikings, bottom 10 in rushing yards allowed per game, 130.3. So you can run on them. Can't throw on them, but you can run on them. So that's gonna be a fun game, I guess. What does Jordan Mason do? We got Carson Wentz again, Dylan Gabriel. I watch it because I want to see Dylan Gabriel
Sure.
because now Dylan Gabriel's on the clock, right? With Shedeur Sanders waiting, right? Like there's no guy. This isn't a Jackson Dart situation where Jackson Dart's going to be the quarterback the rest of the year. Dylan Gabriel's ineffective. What Cleveland did in that draft has created a situation where the next guy is waiting for the elevator, and that's just the reality of the situation, right?
Well, they did say Flacco's the number 2, so
For now, for this week,
I know they're doing Shador dirty, but I guess they have their reasons, and they see him in practice. We don't, so
fair.
you gotta think they know something, and they're smarter than us. Uh, but yeah, Dylan Gabriel it'll be fun to see. But look at these quarterback matchups we have in these games over in Europe. We got Wentz versus an old Aaron Rodgers, and now we have Wentz and Dylan Gabriel. I mean, it's almost embarrassing the quarterback product we're putting out there to the world.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, right, we got Mac Jones playing tonight in a little bit for the 49ers. We got Wentz. I mean, the good news is we got Jaden Daniels back. Let me ask you this question. Let's talk about some of the backup running backs real quick. What size league, 10, 12, 14, ready? Would you play the running back? Rashad White, 10, 12, 14. Is he in what size is he have to start him?
I'm definitely starting him in a 12-team league if I have him. Those 10-team leagues, you probably don't need any of these guys because all those
Yeah.
rosters are stacks.
What
Stacked.
about Michael Carter
I am actually
or
probably going to.
DiMarcado, the other guy in Arizona? Either one of them.
Yeah, I don't want Emari Demarcado. I don't want him in my lineup. A 14 team, sure. But for me in a 12 teamer, I'm actually probably going to start Michael Carter in one where I have it's two wide receivers, two running backs, and three flex spots. So
Okay.
he's probably going to slide into one of those three spots. And if you like him, if you're feeling him, maybe if you have two flex spots, but certainly if it's just two wide receivers or even three, but two running backs and only one flex, he's not going to crack a 12-team roster.
So just keep in mind, Arizona plays Tennessee. Tennessee allows 141.5 rushing yards per game. That is let's call it the fourth most in the league. They have allowed 29 and a half PPR points per game to the running back position. That's bottom 10. They give up a ton of points to the position. They've allowed 6 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving touchdown. Now, on paper, Arizona should be able to handle this game. Tennessee's offense can't do much. Their defense, you can run on them. Um, I'll say this. I'll take Michael Carter over uh um over Rico Dowdle if he plays.
Yeah,
Would you
I
agree
think
with
so.
that?
Well, ooh, I don't know. Panthers, don't they have the Dolphins?
Carolina does have Miami though.
I know. I know. That's juicy. You might want to flip a coin for
I
those
may
two.
have to eat those words there. I may have to eat those words. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a coin flip. And the spread in the Cardinals Titans game is 8.5. So there should be a lot of running done in this one, especially in the second half.
All right. Fair enough. We know. Keep in mind, George Pickens will be a feature player for Dallas. Obviously, Miami with no Tyreek Hill. Is it how high up did the arrow go for Jalen Waddle for you when we saw Tyreek Hill's leg get essentially twisted off?
I've been a Waddle truther for years, and it's killed me. He's been in this position before and didn't really take a hold of anything and didn't blow the stat sheets up. So I'm going to be very cautious with this. I have him in two leagues, one of them being ours. I do not have Ricky Pearsall this week, so I am starting him in our dynasty league that we are in together. But yeah, I'm going to be yellow light for this one. But with these running backs, if I gave you Michael Carter, Rico Dowdle, and let's say Irving sits, so we're not going to talk about Rashad White. So we got Carter, Dowdle, and Sean Tucker. How would you rank them this week? And Tampa Bay, they have
Dowdle,
Seattle.
assuming Chuba doesn't play.
Correct.
I'll go Chuba 1, Carter 2, Tucker 3.
Okay.
Because I just think DiMarcado is going to be involved too.
No, I agree. I agree. I would probably have Carter over Dowdle, but my gosh, it would be close. It'd
Yeah.
probably be as close as our stupid tight end bet we made last week. You remember that? Jawan
What was
Johnson
that bet
versus
again?
Ertz. It was a dollar bet. You had Ertz. I had Jawan Johnson for the most fantasy points in a
And what was the
PPR.
result?
Ertz ended up with like 6.1, I think, and Johnson ended up with 5.8. And the reason Ertz got it was because he caught a 2-point conversion.
I knew that.
What
I knew that. I
what a
predicted that.
dumb bet.
All right, I'll send you my Venmo after the show.
Uh-huh.
What about Darren Waller? Is he really a thing?
I, I'm playing him. I got him. I have Kyle Pitts in the league, so I needed a tight end. He was the tight end cupboard is completely empty in the waiver wire and the free agent pool. So I put a couple of fab dollars out there on Waller, and I got him. So I'm forced to start him. Now I'm obviously
Okay.
not anticipating 2 touchdown catches again, but if you can just get me 5 or 6 catches, 60, 70 yards,
Give you that 10-point floor. Give you
yeah,
that
just
10
I'll be
point floor.
very happy with that.
Yep. Goes against Carolina. Carolina does allow over 15 points per game to the tight end position. So that's a nice spot for Waller. And you expect more targets going his way with Tyreek Hill out. All right. Let's dive into the positional stuff. Let's start at the quarterback. We'll start with some of your surprise, maybe 1 or 2 surprise plays. Guys, you're getting into lineups. Maybe a fantastic bye week or injury fill in for this week.
I'll spend almost zero time talking about my Jets, but Fields is playing Dallas, so get him in if you
He
can.
is an awful NFL quarterback, but he is fantastic for fantasy.
He just dropped
He
30
might
points.
be the poster child for that phrase. Am I right?
100%. I'm in a league and I have Jaden Daniels who's coming back from injury in a tough Chargers matchup. I also have Daniel Jones in that league against the Raiders, and I wasn't sure how Justin Fields is out there, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to play Daniel Jones this past week. So I picked up Fields. I got three quarterbacks, which is stupid. I got to get rid of one of them. I'm trying to trade both Jones and Fields, but I don't know who to start this week. I mean,
I go Daniels.
I'm sure I'm gonna go with Jane Daniels. You can't put him on your bench, but when you got a ceiling like Fields, anyway, I said we're gonna talk about him. I talk about him too much. But here we go. Are you ready, sir,
I'm always
for
ready.
quarterback sleeper? He's only a rookie. He's lost his wide receiver one. He was barely a quarterback one last week, but I don't care. Give me Jackson Dart in New Orleans on the road. They give up the fifth most points to opposing quarterbacks. My guy had 54 rushing yards and a score on the ground last week. You love that rushing floor. Scared money don't make money. If you got 99 problems and a QB is one, throw Jackson Dart in your lineup.
New Orleans Saints 28.8 points allowed per game to a quarterback, 9 passing touchdowns. Then the question becomes, who's catching them, right? Who emerges? Is it Darius Slayton? Is it Wan'Dale Robinson? I know you mentioned Darius Slayton in the Clipboard Confessional waiver wire show. So that's an interesting one. Real quick, though, I want to pivot back to Fields. Let me ask you this question, and then we'll go back to Dart. 2 QB format. I have my boy Jared Goff in Cincinnati. Slam matchup against the Bengals. Let's acknowledge it. I have Justin Fields against Dallas. Slam matchup, in my opinion. Dallas allows the most points to quarterback, 31 and a half. But I have Drake May as well. And May, though, on the road in Buffalo. May has been good. He's been good. He's 2 touchdowns a game. He's run a little bit. Are you willing to bench May this week? Because I haven't been using Fields. Would you bench May for Fields this week because of at Jets, in Jersey for the Jets against the Cowboys secondary?
Well, the Bills have given up the 11th most points to fantasy quarterbacks. So, I mean, that's not even a terrible matchup either. For me, I got to go Fields.
Bills
That's
only allow
ceiling.
125 passing yards a game.
The Bills.
Bills are 126 essentially. Now you can run the ball down there, throw it,
Right.
164 rushing yards a game. But
And they can do that.
and maybe part of the reason they're tough, their passing numbers are low, is because you don't have to pass it against them. You can just run it against them. But Fields against Dallas or May against Buffalo, what would you do?
I got to go Fields. But look,
Yeah.
I know
He's
you. I
such a
know
boom
you.
or bust play, though.
I
He
know
makes me
you're right.
so nervous.
But he's your QB2, man. Roll that dice. I think you're overlooking a little something here. I know you got blinders on for your boy Goff, but he's playing
Yeah,
outdoors. I know it's the
Cincinnati, I do.
Bengals. I know they're terrible, but he's outdoors. We know how that looks. He might not have to throw the
Yeah,
ball. He might have
yeah.
11 pass attempts.
Cincinnati's a turnover machine. Their defense can't stop anybody. Anybody. Eight
That's what I'm
passing
saying.
touchdowns, allowing 262 passing yards a game. Goff will be fine. Goff will be fine. Don't you dare talk bad about Goff or Baker. Anyway, so all right. So you love Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart. He's in a tough spot to start, though. I need to see Jackson Dart for 1 week without Malik Neighbors. Is that fair for me to say?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now, who is your quarterback to avoid? And it's tough to avoid someone this week because, injuries and bye weeks. But is there anybody you're like, yeah, I'd usually start him, but not this week?
I don't know if I want to say it out loud.
Tell me it's Jalen Hurts.
It's not. It's not. It's your guy, maybe our guy.
Is it
I
Baker?
feel I feel better about Baker in real football, but fantasy, I'm a little concerned this week. He's QB7 on the year, but the Seahawks give up less than 14 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. They haven't played against the Josh Allens of the world, but their secondary has been banged up. They're getting a little healthier. Plus, we mentioned last week the Bucks aren't totally healthy either. So I would probably start Baker with a little bit of caution.
I think it's the longest flight you could take in the NFL.
Miami
from
would be longer, wouldn't it?
would Miami be a little bit longer? It's still
Yeah,
a
but
heck
it's
of a haul to go from Tampa to
oh
Seattle.
yeah, oh
So,
yeah.
and that game on the road, that game in Seattle, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
haven't made a decision yet between Bo Nix against Philadelphia and Baker against Tampa. Now, I
Oh,
sat Baker last week against Philly, and Bo Nix paid off. He gave me more points than Baker, but now I want to say the same thing, like don't play Bo against Philadelphia, but you bring up a good point. Baker with a tough matchup. And it's interesting. Like in a league, I have Baker. I also have Buka. And and do you go all in on Tampa, or do you hedge the bet a little bit and not play Baker? That if that way, if the offense struggles, you only taking one player behind projections, not two. It's like that. That's a decision that has to be made, right?
yeah, I like stacking in DFS and like tournaments, things like that, a lot more than I do in season long fantasy. But plus, Seattle, on top of that, they've given up the third fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. So it's a tough matchup all around as far as fantasy goes for
23.7
Tampa.
points to wide receivers, only two touchdowns to the wide receiver position this year. So yeah, Seattle's defense can play, and at home they always play better. So you,
So
you
let's,
do have a good point.
if it's me, I'm probably going to go with Ibuka and maybe go Knicks instead of Baker, simply
Mm-hmm.
because if Baker does great, if Ibuka is going to reap those benefits and that
Yeah,
reward, and it kind of eliminates or at least lessens the risk you're throwing out there with this matchup.
fair enough. Let's pivot to the running back position, which is beat up, battered, and on by. Right, the three Bs: beat up, battered, and on by. Is there anybody out there that you can honestly say, I can't start him, even though, I mean, people are going to have to start him. I mean, that's just the reality of where we are. But who are maybe you projecting for a slower week this week at the running back position? We'll start with the negative. Let's start with the negative. A
Sure.
running back you're fading first. Let's start there.
Yeah, it has to be a guy that you briefly mentioned in the news and notes, and that's Jordan Mason. We mentioned last week the Browns have been nasty against
Yeah,
opposing running backs, and that didn't stop when David Montgomery came to town. Now, we can't count Jahmyr Gibbs because he's an alien from another planet. He's going to do his thing no matter what. But this defense, if you're a between the tackles runner, good grief, man, you're going to have to buckle up your chin strap because you are in for a long, long day.
70.3 rushing yards per game allowed by Cleveland, the fewest in football.
It's a
Uh,
shame that Aaron Jones. I would feel much more confident in Aaron Jones in this matchup if he wasn't on IR if he was playing, just because of his style. He's more outside, catch the ball, that kind of stuff.
14.6 points per game to the running back position. The only teams that allow fewer points to running backs are the Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers. They've allowed two touchdowns to the running back position as Cleveland. That Cleveland Brown defense is good. There's no doubt about that. I agree with you. Tough matchup for Jordan Mason. Would you play any of these injury replacements over Jordan Mason then?
Dude, I if Chuba sits, I'd probably go Michael Carter and Rico Dowdle over Jordan Mason. Um, this matchup scares me to death. Plus, it's the England matchup, so they've been over there for a whole week eating fish and chips and
Ugh.
whatever other terrible food, they sausages or beans for breakfast, and I don't know, man. I would rather go somewhere else if I can. This is a very fright. Where look, it's Halloween time, right? We're in October now. This is scary stuff. I'd like to steer clear of that.
Fair enough. Now, is there a running back that you're getting in your lineups? Who's on the other side of that you're
Well,
like, ooh, I'm excited with this one?
I don't know if it's excited. I would say it is spooky season, like we were just talking about. So this one's a little bit scary as well. But and then, I mean, is he the RB1 on his team? Is he the RB2? He might be the RB3. I don't even know where he sits as far as production goes. But Ramondre Stevenson of the New England Patriots, he's been a boom, bust player for the first 4 weeks. I hate that so much. But if you look at the snaps he plays, by far the most of any other running back on that team. Buffalo's a middle of the pack defense against the run. You mentioned that they're not too good at stopping guys carrying the rock. And in the last four games that Ramondre's played against the Buffalo Bills, he scored double-digit fantasy points in each of the last four times he's played them.
It's funny. When I sat down and looked at numbers today, Travion Henderson was my mind. I'm like, If Travion Henderson's going to bust out, this would be the game today to coming up. That Sunday night matchup. Like I mentioned, 164 rushing yards a game allowed by Buffalo, four rushing touchdowns on the season, 22.4 points per game to running backs. This might be, and I know a lot of people put Travion Henderson on the bench last week. You may have to use him again because of the injuries in the bye weeks, right? You may be forced to, and you're being forced to in a matchup that on paper looks good. The question becomes, does the coaching staff in New England prefer Ramondre Stevenson or do they prefer Travion Henderson? And that's been the frustrating part of that whole situation, right?
Given the snaps, man, they prefer Ramondre Stevenson,
Yes.
fumbles or not.
Doesn't
He's
matter.
seen, I know, old school. Mike Vrabel, man, he wants it. He's got his guys, and he's going to keep putting them out there. Listen,
Yep.
they paid Ramondre. Stevenson got a nice contract with this offseason or last year. So, I mean, they don't have to, obviously, but they certainly have incentive to play him.
Fair enough. Wide receiver position. Um, Anybody stand out for you this week? There are some interesting matchups. Like does Chris Olave get going against the Giants secondary? That's one to keep an eye on. Did I nail it?
Yeah, that's one of them. I got two of them, and that was definitely one of them.
All right. Let me see. So Chris
Yeah.
Olave, does Marvin Harrison repeat against Tennessee? That's an interesting matchup as well. So let's start with you here. All right. So you mentioned Olave. Go with it. What's your take on Olave this week?
Yeah, we got to give him some love here. He's only hit double-digit fantasy points once this season, but he is tied for second in the league in targets with 43. That's over 10 targets per game. I understand targets from bad quarterbacks matter less than, targets from guys like Patrick Mahomes. But Olave is primed for a breakout game, and your G-men give up the second most
Yeah.
points to wide receivers. So although he's been underperforming, he's definitely been overutilized in the offense, and I think it pays off for you this week.
Saints favored that game by 1.5. Total is 42.5. Who else do you have? You said you have more than one there at the wide receiver position. Who else do you like?
Yeah. Hey, let's fire up wide receiver 32 on the year. Jacoby Myers. No one has spoken his name, I don't think, since the preseason. And when you did speak his name, it was because of how boring he was. He definitely made our all boring team
Yes, he did.
some of the summer. Yeah. But I think you have a little bit of confidence here. He's certainly been underperforming, but I feel like he's so ready for a slightly above average week, which is exactly what he's famous for. The Colts steady on defense, but they are the fourth most giving defense against opposing wide receivers. So yawn and throw them in your flex.
41.6 points per game allowed to wide receivers by the Colts. 6 touchdowns to the position. A wide receiver to avoid? Anybody?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm probably going to be forced to play him given injuries and bye weeks, but that is Chris Godwin. He came back last week. He gave you 3 for 26, first game back from injury. It was on 10 targets, which is phenomenal. Hopefully that continues, but we mentioned the Seahawks and that rough matchup they have. So I got to sit Godwin if you can. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to cross my fingers and hope that he does a little more with 10 targets.
Yeah, I have Godwin, but in shallower leagues, I'm trying to avoid using him if possible. Like Buka's emerged, I think, as the go-to guy there in Tampa. Anyway,
Oh
so
yeah.
Godwin, I have Godwin in leagues where I also have Buka. I don't want to do that. I don't want to roll out both of those Tampa wide receivers unless it's a smash spot, and it's not a smash spot this week against Seattle. Tight end position, and then I got another big question for you about one particular game.
I
But
also like
tight
turkey
end,
lunch meat.
what's that?
I also like turkey lunch meat. Is that the question?
Oh, I can't imagine where you would shove that. Can't imagine. God help us what you would do to that turkey meat.
Okay.
Anyway,
You know what? That's my fault. That's my fault, everyone. I apologize. That one's on me. I should have known better. That one's on me.
who do you like at the tight end position? Speaking of turkey meat, who
I
do you
don't
like
like
at the
any.
tight end position?
I don't like anybody. Um, this is deep diving. But how about old Tommy Tremble? Jatavian Sanders is probably out
Probably
again.
out. Yep.
And if he is, Tremble went 5 for 42 and a touchdown in his absence last week. So if Sanders sits again, maybe you can throw him in a pinch against a Dolphins defense who loves to give up points to anyone who's wearing a jersey.
Yeah. They give up the second most points to the tight end position on the year.
Yeah, I know.
16.6. 2 touchdowns. The only defense that allows more is Seattle's defense to the tight end position. 18.1
Too
and
bad
three
they don't give
touchdowns.
the
It's
ball to
just that Kate
Keenum.
On doesn't get enough look for me to
That's
like.
exactly that's exactly what I was saying. Yes.
So, um, tight end to avoid. Like there are some tight ends that have like tough matchups, like Dallas Goedert, tough matchup against Denver, only 8 points per game allowed. Hawkinson against Cleveland, tough matchup, only 9.6 points per game allowed. Tyler Warren has a tough matchup. Raiders only allowing 7.2 points per game and haven't allowed a touchdown to the tight end position. So there are some, usable tight ends facing defenses that shut down tight ends. So who was your biggest avoid of them all?
Yeah, Tyler Warren, man, you said it. It's probably going to be tough to get him on your bench given the barren landscape that, the tight
Mm-hmm.
end position is. But there's a world where you have, Tyler Warren and Juwan Johnson or something, and you might be able to skirt by with leaving him out. And I know he's been killing it, but the Raiders, fifth best team in football against a tight end. They're terrible at stopping the wide receivers. So why even throw to Warren when Michael Pittman, Josh Downs are going to be wide open? Maybe Alec Pierce if he gets on the field, or maybe Adonai Mitchell if he wants to hold on
Hold
to the
on for the
ball and
ball.
not throw it out the back of the end zone like an idiot. I started Daniel Jones last week, and luckily I didn't need it. I won anyway, but I was furious. What was that? A 70-yard touchdown pass that went to nothing. Oh
That
gosh,
was big points.
mm, mm.
Big
Yeah,
points.
you probably have to start Warren, but if you don't,
Temper
then
expectations at the very least,
yes,
right?
sure.
All right. I want to talk about one game. And that is before we get to our lock and our upset of the week. Houston at Baltimore. Okay. But Houston at Baltimore, because of the injury to Lamar and Cooper Rush is quarterback, Houston is now favored by 2.5, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. The total is low. It's only 40.5. People spent, Woody Marks was the ad of the week, the ad of the month, maybe even the ad of the year. Although I don't believe Nick Chubb is fully going away, right? Like I still think
Right.
Nick Chubb is going to annoy us enough to
Yes.
we're gonna search for last week's numbers on Woody Marks, and I don't know if we're gonna get them because of Nick Chubb. But I just want to throw numbers at you. Baltimore Ravens. I'll show you. This is what I do every week. I take some graph paper and I highlight things if you could see it in red and green. Red means avoid, green means go. Basic traffic rules apply to my fantasy football binder.
Fancy stuff.
High tech, high tech. Somebody one time asked me, why don't you set it up in a spreadsheet? I didn't know what they were talking about. Anyway, Baltimore's defense in all fantasy categories is a green highlight straight through. Passing yards per game, passing points per game to quarterback. Green highlight means 10, in the top 10 against. Again, points allowed by quarterback, points rushing yards per game, points allowed to running backs, points allowed to wide receivers, points allowed to tight end. They and the Cincinnati Bengals are the only two teams on this list that have a green line through every category here. How in do you go with the Houston Texans on this? It's easy for me to say go in on the Detroit Lions because it's the Bengals, right? And it's the Detroit offense. It's Amon-Ra, it's Laporta, it's Gibbs, it's Goff, it's a different animal. It's easy to go, I'm all in on Detroit. It's a little more skeptical to go all in on Houston. CJ Stroud, I think Nico Collins not up in the conversation. He plays every week. He's a no doubter. Woody Marks. Do we worry about Nick Chubb? It's a smash matchup on paper, but it's Houston. What do we do?
This is your, very typical movable force runs into a stoppable object or whatever. It's it's tough because the Houston Texans have not looked good, but the Ravens are making everybody look good. I'm assuming by this point you've strayed away from CJ Stroud as your starting quarterback. But if you have him, you could probably throw him in here. I probably won't watch this game if I'm starting anyone outside of Nico Collins for Houston, just because I'd still be worried simply because my offense has sputtered so much. But look, there are there's almost not a single better matchup out there for any of these players. So, I mean, what's Dalton Schultz going to do? Is he going to score a touchdown against this team? I mean, that poor guy can barely jog, but he's got he's going against the Ravens. What was it, 2 years ago, maybe, where you targeted this Ravens defense, at least in the passing game? Maybe it was last year. Oh, yeah, the
Yeah,
first half of last year, if memory serves me right. You
yeah.
targeted this defense in the pass game, and then they figured it
But
out.
they got right then.
Right, and maybe
And
they'll
that's
figure it
my
out again.
concern too, is
Right.
this is Baltimore Ravens. This is a proud franchise. They're playing at home. They don't have Lamar. Like,
They
is
don't.
this the week they knock the shit off and get right?
No Roquan Smith though either.
Right. What are you doing with the Raven on the offensive side without Lamar? Can you play Zay Flowers? Can you play Mark Andrews?
I'm steering clear of Andrews and likely Zay Flowers. You probably can't. He's done okay, and Cooper Rush. It's not like he can't throw the football. He played. CD Lamb was fine last year, basically with Cooper Rush under center when Dak Prescott went out. Now Zay Flowers is not CD Lamb, but he's going to have to throw to someone, especially if this defense allows points to Houston. And Derrick Henry's going to get his for sure. But I still roll Zay Flowers out there, not with a ton of confidence, but he's certainly a flex-worthy player.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Give me your, let's start with the lock of the week. Now I'm in a pool. I made it another week and I flip flopped. I flip flopped. My original lock of the week was Arizona. Okay. Arizona was at home against Tennessee. And the running back room spooked me a little bit. Arizona is annoyingly inconsistent,
Yes.
right? Like, as much as they should be a lock at home against Tennessee, eventually Tennessee's going to win a game, and Arizona could choke one away. So I pivoted out of it, and I went with the safer bet. And you're going to laugh at me, but it is Detroit. Even though I hate picking a road team, as long as Jake Browning's on the center for the Bengals, I can't go. If they did that, I just don't think they could win. The defense isn't good enough, and Browning's a disaster. So I ended up pivoting to Detroit. Um, Detroit in the game, as I look at it, Arizona's favored by 7.5 over Tennessee. Detroit is a road favorite by 10. 10-point road. I had Cincinnati in the playoffs, but the Burrow injury just changed everything. Who do you have as a lock?
So the last couple weeks, and we nailed it last week with Philly over Tampa Bay. I like to do my locks with a closer spread, just because I think it's a little more fun that way. And this isn't as fun as my previous two because the spread is just under a touchdown, 6.5. But give me the Indianapolis Colts over the Las Vegas Raiders in Indy. Colts are 3-1. Raiders are 1-3. The Colts are better as a team in
You're like
every
all in
defensive.
on the Colts. You think they're legit?
I do. I do, especially in that division. I mean, we just talked about how bad the Texans have looked. The
Yeah.
Titans are maybe the worst team in football. We'll see about the Jaguars, though. They've, I think, exceeded some expectations. But the Colts are better than the Raiders in every defensive statistical category and every offensive statistical category. They're the better team all around. I'd rather have Daniel Jones leading my team than Geno Smith. Jonathan Taylor's better than Genty. I know
Did
Genty
Gentry
had a
repeat what
monster
he
game.
did last week against this Colts defense? Or come
I don't.
close? I don't know if
Uh,
repeat is the right word, but
if we're being honest, he scored what 30 points last week. If he gets 15, you're pumped. So he can do half as good as he did last week, and you're still okay. And Michael Pittman Jr. is the best wide receiver in this game. So I gotta go with the Colts here.
all right, fair enough. Now, is there an upset on the table? Right? The
Yes.
Giants pulled the upset last week against the Chargers. We didn't really see that one coming. Can the Jets at home get their first win of the season against Dallas? That there are upsets to be had, my friend. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I like that Jets one. I didn't think about that too much because I kind of found one that I liked, but that Jets over the Cowboys, I like that one as well. I know that I have been talking and saying not kind things about our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but that's with a fantasy perspective. This is real life football, and I do think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can make that super long flight to Seattle. I know they don't have
Mm.
Mike Evans. They probably won't have Bucky Irving, but I think they can take down the Seahawks and the Seahawks 12th man. Tampa just exchanged blows with Philly. I don't think Seattle could do that right now. Tampa's front seven should be able to stop Seattle's run game, Kenneth Walker Jr. and Zach Charbonnet. So all they really have left is JSN. And I'll take our guy Baker to not only cover the 3 points, but to get the W. Might not be a high scoring affair, but I think Tampa Bay can pull this one out.
Kansas City. I'm sorry, Tampa Bay. Seattle, a 3-point favorite over Tampa Bay. I'm
Did we
very
talk about?
man. That Jet game. I'm curious about that Jet game.
I like it. You should pick that one.
I am. Fields is going to have to play the game of his life, and it's going to be a shootout for them to win. It's not going to be a low scoring game. Can Fields do enough in that game? Dallas, by the way, in that matchup is only a 2.5 point road favorite. Total on that game is 47.5. One of the bigger totals on the board. Yeah, I'll roll with it. Jets get their first win.
I
This
like
is
it.
it. They've been close. They've been close. I don't think they're a particularly good team. Um, I think they're very predictable, but with Braylon Allen out of the picture, we expect Brees Hall to get at least 20 touches. And Dallas, 297 passing yards a game, 31.5 points per game to the quarterback, 10 passing touchdowns, 123 rushing yards per game allowed. You can move the ball on them. We saw Green Bay in that 40-40 tie move the ball on them. So, yeah, at home, Jet fans, rejoice. You get one of your 3 wins on the season. There it is. You heard it from me.
I want to throw two threads at you that I think are a little bit interesting and catch your thoughts. You can choose whichever one you want to talk about. Now, yesterday, I think Philly was only a 3.5 point home favorite against the Broncos. It's bumped up to 4.5 now. Um, and the other one is the Chiefs. I texted you about this one. The Chiefs are only a 3 point favorite over the Jaguars, and the Jaguars are playing at home. So 3 point road favorite for the Chiefs over the Jags. 4.5 point now. It was 3.5, but 4.5 point home favorite for Philly. Do either one of these strike you as interesting?
The Kansas City strikes me interesting because it just tells you, I think, Vegas doesn't have as much faith in that Kansas City offense as it once did. Um,
And they obviously have a lot of faith in the Jaguars because the Chiefs just dismantled the Ravens.
yeah, they did. It's a fair point. They did. Um, I don't see how Jacksonville wins this game though. I really don't. I just don't. Um,
Which is
Kansas
why,
City's offense, Kansas City's defense, they're winning with defense. Their offense finally put up. Mahomes looked good. Worthy looked good coming back from injury, right? Like any concerns you had about the shoulder kind of went away. You could trust Worthy with a little more faith. I don't care about the Kansas City run game. I just pretend it doesn't even exist. At this point, Kansas City should
doesn't.
just play 4 wide, put Mahomes in the shotgun, and just forget about trying to run the ball. Get Hollywood Brown, get Juju Smith-Schuster, get Xavier Worthy, and then get Rashee Rice all out there. And just play that way and let Mahomes sling it. Fantasy people will love it. That Kansas City. I would have said Kansas City by a touchdown there, and I wouldn't have thought.
Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't give me a 5.5, even a 6.5 point
yeah.
spread for that. I found that to be odd. It makes
And
me.
Philly at
I,
home. Philly at home. Denver's a good team.
I know.
Denver's a good team. I like Denver. I know they're 2-2, but I expect better from Denver, and that's a good defense in Denver. Uh, if this game was in Denver, I'd probably pick Denver to win this one.
Probably would too.
Yeah, but the game's in Philly, so you give the edge to them. Bo Nix played great last week. Cortland Sutton, another boring wide receiver who does good work, and J.K. Dobbins running the ball well. I could see Denver. This is going to be a close game. I don't expect this one to be a blowout for Philadelphia.
Plus 176 Denver money line. It's enticing.
It is. It is enticing. I will agree with you on that.
I mean,
So
okay, so which underdog would you think would win? The Broncos or the Jags? Easily the Broncos, right?
Broncos.
Yeah.
Broncos to me are the safer underdog. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
And
don't believe the Jacksonville 3-1 yet.
Jacksonville's plus 156. I mean, I would take this Broncos money line way over the Jags.
Yeah. That Bronco Eagle game should be a fist fight,
Yeah.
right? Like that has all the makings of a fist fight. Um, and you would think on paper that favors Philadelphia, but we'll see.
I like
Right.
it.
There you go. All right, everybody. Make sure a couple of things. Like and subscribe right here to the Clipboard Confessional YouTube channel. You'll see Bobby's waiver wire. You'll see our weekly predictions. Okay. We also have our Instagram page now with all sorts of highlights that our friend here, Bob's wife, I'm telling you, she just does it to make fun of Bob. I can't wait for the ham up the nose highlights that come out on that this week. But you know they will. You know they will. And I don't even have enough. Like I don't even have a in with the wife. Like I can't even message her and be like, hey, let's focus on the ham up the nose this week. She just knows to do it on her own. It's fantastic. Like she's just reading my mind to say, I don't know this guy, but this guy is fantastic. And I know what this guy wants. And he wants ham up the nose clips all over Instagram. She reads my mind. It's fantastic. I love it. So make sure you follow. It's at Clipboard Confessional, I believe, right? Is the Instagram page.
Clipboard underscore confessional.
Forgot the underscore. There you go. And it's all good, my friends. We're going to go watch some Thursday Night Football now. Enjoy the football all weekend, right?
You got it. Thanks for listening. You're the man.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy football this week.
Yeah.